Stolen land, stolen health, stolen truth, stolen lives, and a government cover-up so dark they called it the Black Mist. What Britain did in the Australian outback between 1956 and 1963 is one of the most covered-up stories you were never supposed to hear about. Year 1956 and 1963, the British government secretly detonated nuclear bombs on Australian soil. Not in the middle of nowhere, on sacred Indigenous land. Maralinga, a place the Anangu people had called home for over 40,000 years. And nobody asked them to leave. Nobody warned them. Nobody told them anything. Indigenous communities, including the Pitjantjatjara and Yankunytjatjara peoples, were exposed to radioactive fallout. Lands were contaminated, families were displaced, illnesses followed. The tests were classified, the files were buried. Minor trials known as vixens or kittens used to test weapon safety created far more lasting plutonium contamination than the major tests, and the people who lived on that land started getting sick and dying in ways that nobody could explain. They described seeing a strange dark cloud rolling across the desert. Low, heavy, moving wrong. They called it the Black Mist, and every person who walked through it, every elder, every child, every family, started deteriorating shortly after. The Australian government knew, the British government knew, and for decades both of them looked the other way while the Anangu people suffered cancers, blindness, skin conditions, and watched their children born with defects that had never existed in their community before. When researchers finally started digging into the classified files in the late 1980s, what they found was worse than anyone expected. Internal documents showed officials had calculated acceptable radiation exposure limits for, quote, uninhabited areas. Except those areas were not uninhabited. They just pretended they were. It took until 1994 for Australia to pay any compensation. The land itself was not fully cleaned up until 2000, and even then, scientists say parts of Maralinga will remain radioactive for another 24,000 years. The events at Maralinga remain a dark chapter in Australian history, characterised by secret, high-level decisions, environmental destruction, and the suffering of Indigenous people. 24,000 years of consequences for a secret that was never supposed to get out. The files are real. Go look them up yourself.